SuperTalk Mississippi media production.
Tired of your old tractor crying when it sees a hill? Or coughing more than Uncle Earl in pollen season? Trade up now at Sid's Trading Company. Coyote and TYM tractors so mean, they'd plow a cornfield in reverse, uphill. Get her did at Sid's. SidsTrading.com.
Oh, yeah.
Good morning, Mississippi.
Everything gonna be all right this morning.
Mornings with Richard Cross.
Oh, yeah.
Here on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Woo! Now, when I was a young boy, at the age of 5, my mother said I was gonna be the greatest man alive. But now I'm a man, way past 21.
Hey, good morning. Welcome in. Welcome to the start of a new week. Today, May 4th, 2026. This is Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk Mississippi. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for spending the start of your week with us. This is the month with graduations, the end of the school year, Memorial Day, which kind of marks the beginning of summer for most everybody, even though it's not officially summer for another, 3 weeks or so after that. Great month. Great month on the calendar. Postseason baseball begins in the month of May. A lot of good stuff. And usually really good weather. We didn't get that many April showers to bring on the May flowers, and I think the flowers are blooming already. But, man, it's good to be with you on this Monday morning. Lance Tolbert on the other side of the glass. I'm Richard Cross. Thanks for being with us, Lance. Good morning.
Good morning, RC. I know you had a little trip south, I think, this weekend. How did the lacrosse go?
Well, massive change of plans. You watched the weather in South Mississippi over the Friday into Saturday.
Yeah, it's Friday, Saturday mostly.
So I think the address for the fields we were at which we were supposed to play was Ocean Springs, and Ocean Springs, d'Iberville, Mobile, etc. They got pounded Friday night and into the day on Saturday. So there was a decision on Thursday, I think it was either Wednesday night or Thursday morning, to relocate, and Oxford actually hosted the semifinals of the championship game. Played them out at M-Trade Park. Think those were the first lacrosse games that have ever been played there, and Brad Freeman and his team at M-Trade, knocked it out of the park. It was so good. I got to send you some pictures, man.
You got to. Brad, he knocks it out of the park constantly. That's
on the regular.
That's
right.
Right there, man.
That is absolutely correct. But, man, I hope this is the first of many lacrosse events that will be held there. It was really, really cool. Obi's team finished, I say Obi's team, the Regents team that he plays on, he and his buddies, they finished in second place in their game. Let that sink in a second. It was a great year. It was a really good year. UMS Wright, big school out of Mobile, won it all. They were good. So because lacrosse is not a sanctioned sport in Mississippi, you have this strange mix of Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, a little bit of Tennessee, a little bit of Arkansas in terms of trying to find enough teams to be able to play. Mm-hmm. And within that, you have a mix of teams that are all from one school versus kind of almost like a club setup where you take kids from multiple schools, but then you kind of play within the high school association. It's growing, though, and, man, it's cool. So UMS Wright, good program, and they won it all.
Is there such thing as select or travel lacrosse yet? Like baseball and basketball and such?
Yes, there absolutely is. But it's way more urban.
Gotcha.
Up and down the East Coast and the Northeast and big cities, huge. But in terms of, I mean, you know, it's not like Tupelo's got 3 travel teams and Oxford's got a couple and they're half a dozen in Hattiesburg. And, like, there's a Jackson Metro team that's kind of made up of kids from all over Jackson. There's a Hattiesburg team. There are a couple on the coast.
It's a fantastic sport, man. I'm hoping
Really
that it continues to expand.
Yeah, me too.
Really cool.
Me too. Yeah, so we had a weekend, man. We had soccer in Memphis, lacrosse in Oxford, dance recitals in Oxford, and just kind of chasing our tail for a lot of the weekend. But it was good. The weather was great. How about this, like, coolish in the morning?
Yeah.
We're not going to have that for much longer.
No, it's a little, what do they say, blackberry winter?
Is that what we call
it? Yeah. You get to 50s. It was like 54 leaving the house today. I was like, man, that's pretty close to the 40s, you know. So it felt nice, so enjoy it while it lasts.
If you can join the conversation, we would love for you to do so on the C Spire text line, 601-879-4395, 601-879-4395. Lots happening at C Spire. Be sure to check them out online. cspire.com. C Spire, inspired by you. Pretty good weather today across the state. 80 today in Oxford with an overnight low tonight of 54. Broken and scattered clouds. Low chance of rain with light to moderate winds, 5 to 12 miles per hour. Jackson, almost identical. 80 degrees for your high, maybe a tick warmer overnight tonight, about 57, possibly 58 for the low. Partly to mostly sunny, warm, and pleasant, extremely low chance of precipitation for you. Go a little farther south to Columbia, Mississippi. 82 degrees for the high, lows in the low to mid-50s overnight tonight. Sunny, mostly clear. Just a light breeze out of the south-southwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Moss Point actually going to be maybe the cool spot today. About 76 for your high in Moss Point. 54 for the overnight low tonight, mostly sunny. Only about a 10-15% chance of a shower at some point mixed in with winds out of the south and southeast. So across the entire state of Mississippi today, 76 to 80 with a little breeze out of the south and a whole bunch of sunshine. I know it's a Monday and you got to get back to work. You probably got to find a way to maybe ease outside for a little while today. Good news is you'll have plenty of daylight after we finish up the workday, whenever that finishes for you. I mean, unless it's already dark when your workday finishes, in which case I hope you had some sunshine to start the day. If I'm thinking about that the right way.
You got to get your vitamin C in.
Audrey Hepburn was born on this day, 1929. The legendary actress and humanitarian, the icon of Roman holiday, Breakfast at Tiffany's, and, of course, My Fair Lady, the great Audrey Hepburn. Randy Travis, born on this day in 1959. Not doing very well. Country music superstar. Forever and Ever, Amen. 3 Wooden Crosses. Digging Up Bones. First concert I ever saw. Randy Travis headlining at Tad Smith Coliseum. Alan Jackson opened up for him.
That's a winning ticket there now.
Ooh, it was good. Don't Rock the Jukebox had just come out from Alan Jackson. And Randy Travis just standing up there digging up bones.
I was a big fan of both of those guys, but predominantly Alan Jackson. I just love the hair and the mustache, I think.
Jackie Jackson was born today in 1951, singer, member of the Jackson 5, older brother of Michael, least known?
Probably. I mean, I would have to guess.
Yeah. Lance Bass was born in 1979, the singer from NSYNC. Isn't he a Mississippi guy?
I would say he's a Mississippi kid, yeah.
Yeah.
made it on the big time, man.
Yeah.
Everybody knows who Lance Bass is.
Do they?
Yeah, I mean, like my age, a little older, a little younger. Yeah, he was very, very big time there.
I feel like you were
sweet
probably
spot.
a pretty big boy band guy.
Oh, of course. Yeah, man. Rocked them all out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially new kids. Yeah, that was
A lot of NKOTB T-shirts
Yeah,
that
got
you
that, yeah.
you were rocking at school.
I was a Marky Mark fan, too, of course.
Hanging tough.
Yeah, definitely.
Rory McIlroy was born on this day in 1989, the professional golfer from Northern Ireland. Reigning Masters champion ×2.
He's playing some golf last couple of years. Goodness.
He is golfing his ball. There is no question about that. Katherine Jackson was born in 1930. She is the matriarch of the Jackson music family.
Yeah, I read something earlier that Michael Jackson fired his father via fax back in the day. His dad was explaining it. I was watching that little clip. It was pretty interesting.
That's what you did before you fired somebody via text.
Yeah, that's your dad, though, man.
Yeah, well, we got a career to run here, Pops, and you're not cutting it.
Yeah.
Back with you after this. Mornings with Richard Cross, Super Talk, Mississippi, streaming at supertalk.fm. Online, of course, on your Super Talk Mississippi radio stations. Back right after this.
Good morning from the Venable Glass.
What are we going to do?
Rise and shine with information and insight.
Check it out.
Mornings with Richard Cross, Super Talk, Mississippi.
Last night I dug your picture out from our old dresser drawer. I set it on the table and I talked to it till 4. I read some more love letters right up till the break of dawn. Yeah, I've been sitting alone, digging up bones. Then I went through the jewelry and I found our wedding rings.
Thanks for joining us. Mornings with Richard Cross. Lance Tolbert in the studio. Appreciate you being with us.
Hey, I got a good one for you before we get too deep. Today's the first day the Grammys were presented in history. That happened in 1959. The winners were Ella Fitzgerald, Frank Sinatra, and who was the third one? It was a trio. No one knows who they are. You know, when you go up against Frank Sinatra and Ella Fitzgerald, you'd think they'd be a big name, but it's the Kingston Trio.
Oh.
Yeah, Tom Dooley was the big song there, and they kind of opened the way for Peter, Paul, and Mary, Bob Dylan, and all those folksy singers that came on in the aftermath. So just one little tidbit there. Kingston Trio. Rocking it out, man.
Did the Kingston Trio, I'm not going to say this out loud because I'm going to, it'd be way off if I said it. For some reason, maybe it would have been a version of City of New Orleans that Kingston Trio did.
They may have. I'm not too familiar with their work. I do know Tom Dooley, though. That's
Yeah.
one of those old, slow, folksy songs.
Should the Grammys have just shut it down after year one?
I don't know. That's pretty big. I mean, Ella Fitzgerald, Frank Sinatra, and then again, Kingston Trio opened the doors, for the folk scene.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's pretty big time. It's turned into a little bit different since, but, yeah, man, it's still
The music's still spectacular.
music's still amazing, yeah.
But
can't imagine
between Ella and the chairman of the board, pretty good. Today in 1471, you had the Battle of Tewkesbury, the final major battle of the War of the Roses in England. Edward IV's Yorkist forces defeated the Lancastrians. Prince Edward of Westminster is killed.
Yeah, the red roses were the Lancastrians. The white roses were the Yorks.
Yorks won it, right?
I believe that was the case. Yeah, they won
the Battle of Tewkesbury, so I guess that was it.
That's the big one there. That was for the throne.
Outstanding. Rhode Island first became a colony, or became the first of the 13 colonies to renounce their allegiance to George III, King George III. Which, of course, George said, "You'll be back. Soon you'll see. You'll remember you belong to me."
Oh, man.
It's the greatest character in Hamilton, hands down.
Hamilton. I know that.
Yes. King George in the musical Hamilton is just spectacular. 1886, the Haymarket Affair and riot in Chicago. A bomb thrown at police during a labor rally, leading to deaths and a major setback for the U.S. labor movement. It inspired International Workers' Day, which has since been recognized on May 1st. 1904, construction officially began on the Panama Canal by the United States. We built it, we paid for it, we finished it, and in 2026, we kind of took it back.
Yeah, well, it was started, think of this, back in 1881. The French worked on it till 1889, and after many, many people died and significant loss of life, they just abandoned it. And it took until 1904 for the U.S. to actually acquire the rights and the property.
There you go.
They led up old John Frank Stevens and George Washington Goethals. They were the lead engineers that finished the project on August the 15th, 1914.
And what a project.
Yeah.
Decade long.
Definitely.
Hundreds died during the construction of that?
Oh,
Is that
man.
right?
Thousands upon thousands, yeah. Especially under the French, because it was not quite as well run. You know, it had a military kind of feel to it. And yeah, they just kept sending them in, and they kept dying of malaria, if I remember.
Yeah. 1970, the Kent State shootings. Ohio National Guard opened fire on anti-Vietnam War student protesters at Kent State, killing 4 and wounding 9. The event sparked nationwide outrage, and it really didn't do anything to quell the protests that were going on at the time. 1979, Margaret Thatcher became the first female prime minister of the United Kingdom. Ernest Hemingway on this day in 1953 won a Pulitzer Prize for The Old Man and the Sea.
A great book. Really good one.
May 4th is sometimes called Star Wars Day because of the punny little "May the 4th be with you." We had that message from Ed earlier this morning.
We had somebody at least on one of the baseball games yesterday. I think it was after Udemark hit the home run. He had the Stormtrooper helmet on that has become custom. And one of the announcers like, "May the 4th be with you a day early." And I kind of was like, what is he talking about, man? I was, okay, I get it now.
There you go. All right, we got some news headlines. News headlines for you, focused primarily on Mississippi. Nissan is axing electric vehicle production at its plant in Canton. Officials at the auto giant announced late last week that they would no longer build EVs in central Mississippi due to a lack of market demand in the United States. Nissan is halting its EV production in Canton. That will not, however, affect the company's other vehicles that are being manufactured at the assembly plant. This announcement comes about 4 years after Nissan invested $500 million to manufacture 2 EV models by 2025. We are now in 2026. Nissan's Canton facility is one of the company's largest manufacturing sites. Nissan officials have let Mississippi know, hey, we're not going anywhere. We're just not going to do this. Nissan will produce the new Xterra models. I have not seen the new Xterra. I wonder what I need to find a picture of that. Along with the Frontier trucks and the Altima sedans, along with amenities for those vehicles. Just a reminder, Nissan now open more than 20 years in Mississippi. 2003, it was a $950 million capital investment when that plant opened there in Canton. At the time, the largest in the state's history.
Man, what do you think that would cost these days? 950 million times about 4, maybe?
I was going to say between 3 and 4 billion.
Mm-hmm.
Just my guess.
You think if they put those TVs on the electric vehicle chargers like you have at the gas stations, you think EVs would take off more? Because I'm pretty enthralled with the gas station TV. It's amazing.
Some are better than others.
Yeah, I'll sit there and watch for a minute. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm done here, but I gotta finish this.
I don't mean to sound flippant when we talk about EVs. I think you should drive whatever you want to drive. It was just the way the mandates were shoved down your throats, our throats, for 4 years during the last administration. Oh, you're going to do this, and oh, we're going to spend tens of billions of dollars on federalized or subsidized charging stations, and they never got built. Like, it just didn't happen. I am intrigued by electric vehicles. I'm not opposed to the idea of electric vehicles. I think they're cool. I think Tesla's a great company. It just hasn't worked at scale for everybody. It's like, what do you do? Do you make combustion engine cars or do you make electric vehicles? And you kind of need to decide what you do and then do it, and do it well. Tesla does battery-powered vehicles really, really well. Ford makes great trucks. Almost like they're the best-selling trucks in America for 49 years. People didn't really like the Lightning all that much. Some did. We got more news headlines coming up with you. This Jackson Water Authority, who knew that people would want to fight over power? But fight over power is what they do. Homeland Security finally reopening as well, or at least most of it. Give you the details next. Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk, Mississippi. Thanks for starting your day with us.
The news you need.
Every 10, 15 minutes, there's something.
The talk you love.
They really talk about the things that matter. I'm into all that stuff.
Mornings with Richard Cross. Super Talk, Mississippi.
That's life.
That's life.
That's what all the people say. You're riding high in April, shot down in May. But I know I'm gonna change that tune.
Mr. Chairman, always a pleasure to hear from you. Thank you. Mornings with Richard Cross. It's not the only chairman that we'll have this morning. No, not at all. Chairman Sam Creekmore will join us. Public Health and Human Services. He represents Union County, District 14 in the Mississippi House of Representatives. That's coming up at less than an hour from now, 7:20 this morning. Sam will join us.
I've never been a chairman. That sounds like a good position to have, you know? You ever been a chairman of anything?
Oh. I mean, maybe like a really small committee of, like
You've been
church or something like that.
You're still the chair, though, so, I mean, that's a big honor. I've never been bestowed that honor before.
Yeah, I don't know that I have of any significance, no.
Need to invent my own board and become the chairman of it, right?
Yeah.
Paid position, obviously.
One, like that's what when highfalutin CEOs retire, but don't when they're like, I don't want to run the company day to day, but you still need my mind and you should still pay me a lot of money for that. It's,
such as
chairman of the board, executive chairman of the board, chairman of the board emeritus. If you can be chairman of the board emeritus and still get paid,
get your $10,000 a month, you're good.
Yes, that is or more. Yeah, maybe some cases a lot more.
Well, we got to adjust for inflation here.
Yeah. Like that's hashtag life goals. Chairman of the board emeritus. Hey, if you need anything from me, I'll be on the golf course. Just
don't text me.
Yeah. Don't call me. I'll call you. All right, a couple of other news headlines for you this morning. All right, this is from late last week, but we didn't really have time to get into it. A judge has temporarily blocked a new state-created governing body that would manage Jackson's water system once federal oversight ends. United States District Judge Henry Wingate, at the request of Mayor John Horn, has put House Bill 1677, or if you prefer, the Metro Water Authority Act, on pause. The state law, which creates a 9-member board to run the city's water and sewer system, was passed this year with very little Democrat support. It was enacted after being signed into law by the governor, Tate Reeves. I feel like we've said this enough that you know the composition of the board right now. I don't know, by the way, Lance, if you want to be chairman of this board.
No, I'll pass on that one, yeah.
3 appointees from the mayor, 2 from the governor, 1 from the lieutenant governor, 1 each from the mayors of Ridgeland and Byram, and the 9th, a joint selection between Horn and Reeves. On behalf of the city of Jackson and the board, Mayor Horn has challenged the law, citing that Jackson not having majority representation is a problem because they are assuming all risks with the water system. So on Thursday afternoon, the judge prohibited 1677 from going into effect, stating that the federal government will maintain full authority over Jackson's water and sewer operations until the court decides otherwise. Parenthetically here, this is like a thought bubble. When you sued because you thought you needed majority control, were you hoping that federal control was going to be the outcome? Just thought bubble. Judge has requested further time to review. I mean, Judge, have you been sleeping for the last 5 years? You need more time to read about the... to review the Metro Water Authority Act and determine whether the law encroaches on the authority of the federal court. Thomas, I am inclined to agree with you, but that's not entirely fair. I'll read Thomas's message in just a second. C Spire text line 601-879-4395. The good people of the city of the Jackson need water. I have friends that live there. Lots of people that I don't know live there. There are people of means. There are people of very, very little means. There is in between. There are neighborhoods that are safe. There are neighborhoods that are not. Everybody deserves clean, safe drinking water. And so that's my pushback on Thomas's message where he says, just let Jackson run it. And when it fails, just let them go without. See, that's the problem. You can't just let them go without. Clean drinking water, clean water, period, is a fundamental necessity. And so just let them go without really isn't an option. It's really not an option. So you're going to be on the hook for it. Federal, state, local, somebody's going to have to pay for it. I'm sorry, Jackson and Mayor Horn, I know that this was not your doing, and you probably feel like you should have the opportunity to lead the city out of this water crisis, and maybe even that is your legacy issue going forward. But, Jackson, you've kind of lost the ability to get the benefit of the doubt on, yeah, we'll just leave you alone and let you do it. There's several decades worth of malfeasance, lack of leadership, lack of fiscal responsibility and fiscal oversight. Where's the money? Where's the billing system? Where's the maintenance? Oh, wait, you didn't do any of that. But sure, we should let you run it. Okay. Oh, yeah, because it's different now. Sure. Time for your morning sports update, brought to you by Pearl River Resort, online at pearlriverresort.com. Pearl River Resort is your home for family fun, casino thrills, and live entertainment. Baseball weekend. Southern Miss did what they needed to do. It was not easy. 2-1 in 11 innings over ULM. 3-1 and 7-3. But you know what? Easy or not, that counts as 3 wins, and that is a sweep for the Golden Eagles of Southern Miss. Ole Miss, not so much. Friday night, it only took Arkansas 8 innings, 12-2. Razorbacks walloped the Rebels. Saturday, different story. Ole Miss comes out punching. They score 5 in the top of the first. Never trailed in the game. They win it 11-4. Man, yesterday things were looking good. 3-3 game. Ole Miss hits a solo home run from Judd Utermark, tying the school record for home runs in a career. Go up 4-3. I believe that was in the top of the 8th inning. Couldn't add on to it. Couldn't get anything in the 9th. It's all right. 3 outs away. Walker hooks. Uh-oh. Leadoff single, failed bunt attempt. Kid at the plate gets another chance, hits his second home run of the year, 5-4. Razorbacks walk it off, and they win 2 out of 3.
I think I heard them say that the kid hadn't had a hit since April the 10th. It's a good way to break a slump there.
Be that as it may. Yeah. I mean, I was, like, thinking about the range of emotions. And, you know, why do you love baseball? The razor's edge of it's you that does that, and you get to celebrate, and the home team feels awful versus they do it, and now you feel awful, and you got to go ride on the bus for the next 5.5 hours. Man, what a game. And a little bit of drama in Austin yesterday. The Longhorns of the University of Texas win 2 out of 3 against Mississippi State. 3-1 on Friday night. Bulldogs bounce back at the offense going a bit on Saturday, won at 7-4. Jumped out to an early lead yesterday. Could not hold on. Texas 11-6, and Brian O'Connor didn't have to wait in line for the shower. He got to leave early. He was none too pleased with the strike zone of the home plate umpire. Good to be with you. Somebody said, are we not going to talk about leaving hooks into... No, I'm just kind of giving you some headlines, just an update. I'm sure the boys this afternoon will debate that with you all you want. By the way, were you upset when he threw consecutive days last weekend and went 54, 55 pitches and gave you a chance on Sunday last week? I'm just curious. Back with you after this.
Good morning from the Venom.
Conversations and clarity. What a great way to start your Mississippi day. Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk, Mississippi.
Mornings with Richard Cross. Time for your Mississippi Lottery update, brought to you by the Mississippi Lottery, online at mslottery.com. We had a jackpot winner in the Powerball on Saturday night. 2 tickets sold in Florida and Texas matched all 5 white balls in the Powerball to hit the estimated $20 million jackpot with an estimated cash value of $9 million. This is the second drawing in a row where the jackpot has been hit. Now, forgive me. You're going to have to forgive me for my, you don't want to look a gift horse in the mouth. Is this the unluckiest Powerball win of all time? You're one drawing late from the $170 million, whatever it was. Cash value around $68, $70 million. So you're one drawing late, and it resets down to $20 million, and you've got to split it with somebody else. So your estimated cash value of $9 million goes down to $4.5 million. We're going to pop some taxes on that, and congrats on winning the Powerball. Oh, that's awesome. How did it go? I won $1 million.
Well, about the end of that, you may be paying somebody.
Again, not to look a gift horse in the mouth, I would be thrilled, I tell you, to win $1 million. I'd be even more thrilled to win $485 million when it's one of those jackpots. But, nevertheless. So, congratulations, Florida man. Congratulations, Texas man. Next Mega Millions drawing. $195 million. That's coming up on Tuesday night. The cash value on it's $86.3 million. I mean, look, if you had to split $86.3 million, it would stink. But there's a whole lot more to split there than when there's 9. Tonight's Lotto America jackpot is the third largest in the game's history, $24,390,000. The estimated cash value, almost $11 million. So Lotto America is bigger than the Powerball. Anyway. Last week, the Lottery Claims Office paid out $277,000 and change. Retailers paid out almost $5.3 million. Don't forget to download the Mississippi Lottery app. It is free. It is available to you, and it's the best way for you to keep up with everything that's happening with the Mississippi Lottery. So yesterday in the SEC, Georgia beat Missouri 14-4 in 7 innings. Georgia swept Mizzou. Tennessee salvaged one against Kentucky with a 10-9 victory. Florida beat Oklahoma 13-2 in 7 innings to win the series on the road against OU. LSU swept South Carolina. Texas A&M
gets them up to 7 wins.
Yeah. LSU fans have, I don't know, they moved on, probably. From this year anyway.
Yeah, I would think. If they creep in, though, you never know.
Ooh, that's right. Texas A&M 4-3 over Auburn. Auburn wins the series in College Station 2-1. Bama beat Vandy on Saturday to sweep the Commodores. Alabama wins the series 3-0. Ridden by Jose Ortiz, Golden Tempo. Navigated past 17 other horses around the final turn and made a hard charge down the stretch. With a crowd of about 150,000 watching and roaring at Churchill Downs, Golden Tempo passed morning line favorite Renegade, ridden by Jose's brother Irad. Just before the wire to win by a neck at odds of 23-1. The winning time for the 1.25 mile race, 2:02:27. It's about 3 seconds slower than the all-time record held by Secretariat, which doesn't sound like a lot until you realize that 3 seconds is the equivalent of 17 lengths. Ooh. Ortiz began making his move around the far turn and was 13th with a 1/4 mile to go. He was ready to rumble and began navigating through horses one by one. Top of the stretch, Golden Tempo Still was in 13th with 12 more horses to pass. He chose the outside lane, going around the field rather than inside and through it. A winner of the Roses, Golden Tempo. First ever female trainer to win the Kentucky Derby. 152nd Derby went on with just 18 horses after a scary incident before the race. Great White was a late scratch by track veterinarians after flipping and throwing his jockey.
Oh, man.
It was rough looking. Following Golden Tempo's victory in the $5 million run for the Roses, the immediate question was, will he run at the Preakness in 2 weeks? His trainer said, we're going to let him decide that. We're going to have to allow him to tell us because the horse is first. We're not here for ourselves. We're not here for our egos. We're here for the horse. We will see if Golden Tempo is able to have a Mr. Ed moment between now and the Preakness.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, and callers on this show are not the opinions of TeleSouth Communications, its management, or advertisers.
You're waking up to what matters. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Yes, I know all about that other guy, the handsome man with athletic thighs. I know all about the time before, but that obsessive little bitch boy. They might make you think you're happy, yeah, maybe for a minute or two. They can't make you laugh, no, they can't make you feel the way that I do. I will buy.
Thank you for joining us. It is Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi. 7 o'clock hour on this Monday morning, the 4th of May. We really genuinely, not just saying that, appreciate you making us part of your morning routine. Not going to be many more of these. Not shows. I mean, plenty of more shows, hopefully. We have no plans to go anywhere.
Good. I was like, what's going on again?
No. Not many more of these Monday mornings in the school year. I don't know what the school calendar looks like for your kids where you live in the Magnolia State, but for me, I can't wait. 3 weeks left. Crazy, man.
Doesn't seem like it. I mean, it seems like it's kind of flown by. I mean,
lickety split. Better hold on to your hat because we're moving fast here. Ole Miss graduation coming up this weekend. Well, I say this weekend. You remember when you were in college, Lance, and commencement was on a Saturday morning? Had the big deal, and you may have had a baseball game that day. And then you had your school's graduation and it was over? That's how it used to be. Now it's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and maybe Sunday.
Yeah, there wasn't quite as many students there when I was at Ole Miss, so yeah, they can get it all done and pretty quick.
But different schools do their graduations at different times, and you've got the honors college graduation, and you've got the main commencement ceremony, and you've got the doctoral candidates, and you've got masters, and all of these different things. And so lots of graduations. But with that said, I don't know what the size of our college listening audience is. But to those of you who are of college age and are wrapping up your undergraduate or graduate time, congratulations. Great accomplishment. Go be great. We would prefer that you would be great right here in the state of Mississippi. We want you here. Mornings is presented by Community Bank, online at communitybank.net. At Community Bank, we're more than just a place to manage your money. We're your neighbors, your partners, and your trusted financial advisors. For decades, we've been rooted in our community, helping families, small businesses, and individuals achieve their dreams, whether it's opening your first savings account, planning for a brighter future, or growing your business. We're here every step of the way. We're dedicated to our customers, committed to your success, and always here when you need us. Community Bank, rooted in our community, member FDIC. I had a chance this weekend to meet and or visit with a couple of, I think, longtime listeners on Mornings with Richard Cross. Paul Gallo before that. And so to my new friend from Shaw, Mississippi, and an old friend that I got reacquainted with that lives on the banks of the Tennessee River, it was a pleasure. Hope you're having a great Monday. Well, we've got a new fight going on nationally. It's one that you probably know about. We got the news, what was it? Wednesday afternoon last week, that the Supreme Court was siding with Louisiana in the case of Louisiana versus Calais. And so now we have this mad scramble for redistricting. And there is a question of what is that going to look like? Where are there going to be changes? And when will those changes be made? And Mississippi is certainly not immune from that conversation. Supreme Court struck down a majority black congressional district in Louisiana that has amplified an already intense national conversation, and in some cases action, in redistricting. And Alabama Governor Kay Ivey announced on Friday that she is calling a special legislative session to begin today in hopes that the Supreme Court allows the state to change its U.S. House map ahead of its November midterm elections. In Tennessee, Republican Governor Bill Lee has announced a special session for the GOP-controlled legislature to break up the state's one Democratic-held House district centered on Memphis. There were a couple of comments that you may have seen online over the weekend. If not, I'll share them with you now, pointing out that Tennessee's lone Democrat-held congressional district has a white Democrat representing it, and that his opponent is a black Republican. I suppose there's some irony there. Louisiana has already... Say what?
Flipping the script right there, huh?
Just a bit. Louisiana has already suspended its May 16th congressional primary to allow time for lawmakers to approve new U.S. House districts. That is being challenged in court. And President Trump appears to be putting pressure on Republican governors and Republican legislatures to draw maps that will favor Republicans going forward. The current House map in Louisiana, 6 congressional seats, 2 Democrats, 4 Republicans. Currently in Alabama, you have 2 Democrats and 5 Republicans for the 7 seats in the Yellowhammer State. In Florida, a total of 28 seats represent the Sunshine State in Congress. 8 of them are held by Democrats, 20 are held by Republicans. Mentioned that it's only 1 Democrat-held seat in Tennessee, and here in Mississippi, with our 4 congressional seats, it is 3-1. Georgia, a little bit different setup. Their current House map has 14 seats, 9 Republicans and 5 Democrats. Early in-person voting began on April 27th in Georgia. Their primary elections are coming up on May 19th, and the governor of Georgia, Brian Kemp, has said that it is too late for Georgia officials to try to change congressional districts for this year's elections. But he added that the rationale in the Supreme Court's decision requires Georgia to adopt new electoral maps before the 2028 election cycle. If you're curious about the legal standing of that in Georgia, Eric Erickson, who you hear here on SuperTalk Mississippi in the evenings, has a pretty good summary on his X account of why Georgia can't do things. Because there are a lot of people that are complaining about Brian Kemp not dropping the hammer. The Georgia state constitution does not allow, once elections have begun, for them to redraw maps. And that's going to be the legal challenge that you get in a lot of these places. So, bringing it back to Mississippi, what is this going to look like? You may remember a week and a half ago, Friday a week ago, Governor Tate Reeves called a special session pending the outcome of Louisiana versus Calais, 21 days after the handing down of the decision. We didn't for sure know where it would be, although I would say to you, just in case you're wondering, Tate Reeves must have had a pretty good idea that this decision was going to be coming down this week. It is important to remember that this special session in Mississippi has to do with the state Supreme Court districts. There is a lot of conversation right now about an expansion called by the governor of the special session on two issues. Obviously, you already have what has been called in the Supreme Court districts. You have the ruling that caused redistricting a year ago in Mississippi that ultimately cost the Senate a supermajority. And when we say supermajority, what we're talking about is the ability to kind of block out Democrats, despite any opposition they may have if all Republicans are on the same page. And then the third question that is being raised is, well, what about Mississippi's congressional districts? A lot of push for that to be added to the special session. And then I think there's a legal question that has to be explored as well. Is the governor the only person with the power and the authority to add to the call of the special session? Very narrow in scope, at least that's what we've all assumed. Is there a scenario where either the lieutenant governor or the Speaker of the House, if they wanted to expand that special session, could do so? I can assure you lawyers are involved in that conversation right now. Sam Creekmore from the House of Representatives will join us coming up next, MRC on SuperTalk Mississippi.
From the Venable Glass Traffic.
They ask where you heard it. You tell them.
I know you heard it right here.
Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi.
This hour of Mornings with Richard Cross is brought to you by MWG Employer Services. Running a business is tough, and if you're struggling with HR, benefits, and payroll, you're not alone. That's where MWG Employer Services comes in. They can provide a full range of employer services, plus a custom plan that fits you. Give them a call today, 601-206-7966, or go to MWGEmployerServices.com. Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk Mississippi. Thanks for joining us. We are thrilled to be joined now by Sam Creekmore. He represents District 14, that is Union County. He is Chair of Public Health and Human Services. We got a lot to discuss. Mr. Chairman, good morning.
Good morning, Richard. Always good to visit with you.
You as well, my friend. Appreciate your time, and I know it's been a couple of weeks, but we offer our condolences to you and your family and the loss of your mom. I know that's never easy to go through, and just thinking about your family during this time.
You were so kind, and that morning I was supposed to be on, she passed, and thank you for the kind words and the prayers and the thoughts.
Absolutely. Let's start with what is most topical right now. There's a lot to talk about from the session that has recently ended, although it continues or is going to continue. That special session that is coming up in a little less than 3 weeks now. It is a session that has been called by the governor to address Supreme Court redistricting lines. But we know what the national conversation is right now after the Supreme Court ruling that came down last week with Louisiana versus Calais. Just give me a thought, as you have, I'm sure at this point, had some conversations with your colleagues about kind of general thoughts on this redistricting battle. First, as it pertains to the Supreme Court districts in Mississippi, but what it might lead to as well.
It's really interesting. The possibilities we have in front of us, and you explained it beautifully in the earlier section, but we really don't know, and I have had brief conversations with leadership what this might look at, but it really hadn't been determined if we're going to expand it past the judicial or not. It appears we might have the opportunity, and I really just don't know yet. And it would be, the governor can make it clear if he would put it in the call, and then it's debatable whether what we can add or what we can't.
It's, the fascinating thing about this conversation, I'm not trying to pat myself on the back here, but I've been asking this question for a few months as we've been waiting for this decision from the Supreme Court from different people that I've talked to, either people that are elected officials or who work around politics, about what the appetite might be if the Supreme Court rules in favor of Louisiana in terms of redrawing congressional district lines in Mississippi. And I feel like the answer that I generally got was, I don't know that that's something that we're interested in doing right now. Obviously, 4 congressional districts in Mississippi, 3 Republicans, 1 Democrat. That 1 Democrat is Benny Thompson in District 2. I think most Republicans agree they would like to get Benny Thompson out, but there are people that have pointed to the fact that, hey, 3-1 is pretty good. Yes, there's an opportunity for 4-0, but you also bring into play the possibility of 2-2 if you redraw the lines.
You're exactly right, and I mean we got to use common sense in this too. 3-1's, maybe the best we can get. That's reasonable. So, and typically in my experience with special sessions, it's a limited. You try to get everything worked out before you get down there, and we're not typically there for a long time. So I would kind of be surprised if we expand it beyond the congressional. Expand it to the congressional.
For now, right? I mean, we're talking about for midterms 2026. I mean, this certainly feels like an issue that beyond 2026 is absolutely going to be something that's addressed, right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
I would be surprised if we add that to this call.
Question that I've asked some of your colleagues in the last few weeks with the 2026 session now largely in the rearview mirror. What grade would you give the legislature for this past session? There was a lot that was accomplished. There were some things that were not accomplished. On the whole, how do you grade this past session?
I come at it from a view of public health, and in public health, we really achieved a great deal. So, my grade's going to probably be a little bit higher when you look back at, and I had this conversation with many of my colleagues. How do you feel about session? And, most of them were disappointed. We really didn't accomplish anything major. We brought up a lot of big topics, but as far as public health goes, I think we had a really, really good session. We passed some certificate of need laws that have never been passed in the history of the state. We passed a psychedelic with Ibogaine, which you've let me talk about on this program before, which was to me, Mississippi's one of the leaders in the country in this FDA trials. So, as far as public health goes, we had a really good session. It all kind of was under the radar with all the other school choice topics and all that. But yeah, as far as public health, it was good. Overall, I'd probably give it a C.
Okay. There's a major conversation about one of the health systems in the state, the Greenwood-Leflore Hospital. They have officially gone into bankruptcy. We had a visit with Dr. Luann Woodward, and she was very guarded with what she said at the end of last week. We do know that there are conversations that are happening between UMMC and Greenwood-Leflore hospital officials about a potential takeover. What that might look like, we don't know. What can you update us on in terms of that situation and that process and what that may look like in the weeks ahead?
Well, this was not anything new. Senator Brown and I had many conversations about it. We knew it was coming at the beginning of session, and we reached out to Greenwood, and we also reached out to other hospitals, including UMC, Baptist, St. Dominic's. Would y'all be interested in taking this over? And we knew during session we would have more opportunities to offer incentives to get this done. The one thing we did not want to happen was for the hospital just to close, doctors, nurses leave, because it's very difficult and very costly to ever get them back. And so we offered some legislation to help to incentivize other hospitals to come in, including UMC, and they were the most willing. And I'm disappointed it's taken this long to get this, but I understand it's a very complicated, complex issue. And at the same time, the bankruptcy was part of the deal. They need to go into bankruptcy to get this deal accomplished. We just wish
let me insert there
sooner.
The reason that the bankruptcy was necessary, because that put a hold on their outstanding liabilities, right? They don't have to keep paying today pending what the judge rules in the bankruptcy. Is that right?
Yes, sir. You're exactly right. That was the reason for that. And we passed legislation, local and private legislation, to allow them to go into bankruptcy.
In terms of public health, what could this mean for the people in that part of the Delta in particular? We've talked in great detail about the rural health care crisis that exists in Mississippi. We know that there are not enough providers. We know that there are not enough specialists. But this is a facility that covers a lot of ground, that covers a lot of area in terms of patients who go there for services. UMMC taking it over versus Greenwood-Leflore just having to shut its doors. What does that mean?
Well, I'll tell you, in investigating all this, that emergency room sees 17,000 people a year. That's way more than the city limits of Greenwood. That's a bigger population. I mean, it's a regional hospital hub, and so it's extremely important to that region. It's extremely important to the health of that area, and so that's kind of the way we saw it. And I say we, as Senator Brown and I, and the legislature, it needs to remain open. It provides a service. It's a 250 bed hospital that's using 20 beds, but as far as an emergency room goes, it's serving a vast population, a regional population. So it's extremely important. And those people, if it closes, they have to go somewhere else, and they'll have to travel greater distances. So it's life or death for many people.
Sam Creekmore is my guest. He represents Union County. We're going to take a quick time out. When we come back, we'll talk about the Rural Healthcare Transformation Fund, about $1 billion, maybe a little bit more, that is going to be distributed in Mississippi. A bit of a fight as to who was going to be in charge of the distribution of those funds. We'll get to that coming up next. It's Mornings with Richard Cross. SuperTalk Mississippi, presented by Community Bank, online at communitybank.net, rooted in our community. We're back with you right after this. The Mornings with Richard Cross is brought to you by Covington County Hospital in Collins, where your health matters.
Super Talk Mississippi.
You heard it here first.
Mornings with Richard Cross.
Here comes the news.
Welcome again. It is Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk Mississippi, streaming at supertalk.fm and SuperTalk TV. Sam Creekmore is my guest from the Mississippi House of Representatives. He represents District 14. That is Union County, New Albany, and the surrounding areas. He's chair of the Public Health and Human Services Committee. Sam, I do appreciate your time this morning. One of the things that the legislature looked at in the special session was distribution of dollars from the Rural Health Transformation Fund. There was a bit of a debate, I'll call it that gently, about who should be in charge of distributing those funds, whether it should be the legislature that oversees them or the governor. It's in some ways a tale as old as time, who controls the purse strings. The governor's stance on this, at least largely, was that, hey, our office put together the proposal. We worked with the White House to make sure that we knew where these funds needed to be going. There was a timeline that needed to be met for that. My understanding is the legislature wanted transparency with where these funds were going and how they were being distributed. Ultimately, there was not enough agreement to override a veto that the governor had for how those funds would be distributed. What can you tell us about that process and what it looks like going forward?
Well, typically the legislature does handle the purse strings of finances for the state of Mississippi. And so from our perspective, it's a bit unusual for this to completely be in control by the executive branch of government. And so we had two bills. We had one from the House, one from the Senate. And I authored the House bill, which really provided guidelines and is very clear as far as transparency and as far as guardrails and priorities of where the money was to be used. This is rural health transformational money. We prioritize rural communities. We prioritized in the bill infant mortality. So anyway, this bill got passed out of the House and was sent to the Senate, and the governor's through his office said, look, we're going to veto this House bill. And so the Senate, they sent over a bill, and it was really just a placeholder. It was just code sections. So we revised our language from the House bill. Senator Bryan's name was on the bill, but it was House language, and we took our bill that we'd already passed and really scaled it back. And it really just included priorities of where the money's to be spent, and then did include a health exchange information provision, which is in the governor's plan. And so that was to be put out to bid, and we passed that bill, and it passed. It was a Senate bill, so we passed it and sent it back to the Senate, and they passed it. So it was a Senate bill that went to the governor that he ultimately vetoed. The bill didn't require how he spent the money. It just prioritized. Here's what the priorities were. It's very important. And it also included that he send where the money spent into quarterly reports to the legislature. And that was it. And so that's the one that ultimately got vetoed that really caused a ruckus when we came back on the 15th.
Well, and some of that ruckus, right, if I remember correctly, and I may be off on the details, the House had the votes to override the veto, and then the Senate did not when it all came down to it. Is that right? Or am I...
Well, it really depends on who you ask, but yeah, the House definitely had the votes to override it, and the Senate, they had the votes, in my opinion. The majority of the votes were Democratic senators, but they had the votes.
Yeah.
It just never came up.
So this is not directly related, but I do think there's some correlation as well. We've talked a lot about the penalties related to the SNAP benefit error rates, and this is something that the entire country is having to deal with right now. I've dug into this more and more. There are only 8 states that currently are below the 6% error rate threshold and won't receive any penalty. There's a great amount of debate as to whether or not the Trump administration may loosen the rules a little bit and give a little bit more time perhaps for states to get their error rates in line. In fact, I saw a report over the weekend that there were about 180,000 SNAP benefits checks that were going out to people who were dead. And the administration is really focused on fraud within the SNAP benefits program, that particular piece of the welfare program. As it stands right now, Mississippi is going to face a pretty stiff penalty, somewhere between $80 and $120 million, depending on where the error rates are at the reporting deadline. We have, and forgive my long preamble here, I just want to make sure I set this up correctly. We've got change reporting that happens monthly, and some people say that's part of the reason that our error rate is high is because of the frequency of the changes. There are lots of other states. In fact, I think all 49 other states plus Washington, D.C. use simple reporting where that reporting only happens every 6 months as opposed to monthly. I've had people tell me that changing the reporting style is not the silver bullet to make the error rate go away. Ultimately, we did not change the reporting system. What is your understanding about where we are in addressing this issue? Because right now it is a future liability that Mississippi is going to have to deal with.
You're right. And you set that up perfectly. And to be honest, we spent a lot of time studying this in the House, and we helped develop the HOPE Act, which is what we're currently using now to study this. And it's a very stringent, very detailed reporting technique that we use, but it's also, in the state of Mississippi, it needs to be that way. We need to be sure and that we're getting the money to the right people, not overpaying and not underpaying. And our reporting error is around 11% now. So we're trying to get to that 6% threshold. And in doing that, we've also, the Department of Human Services has got new IT methods that they're using. They're just now implementing. And so that hadn't taken effect. We had not seen the results of that yet. So our thought in the House was, let's give this a little more time. We need to be more responsible. We need to have better reporting. Ours needs to be more thorough than the rest of the country, given our history of misuse of funds sometimes. So we thought we'd give this another year. We're going to look at this and continue to study it, and also focus extremely hard on the Department of Human Services and their reporting. And they know that. So let's give this another year before we change methods because we have a higher error rate. The principle of that, you have an issue, well, let's just change the way we do the reporting. Let's address the issue first.
Is there a level of optimism that some of the new IT tools that DHS is implementing will help significantly with the error rates? Yes, there is. It's holding people accountable to what they're administering. And so, yes, I'm very optimistic. Is staffing at DHS such that they've got enough people to do the job that they need to be doing? Because we're talking about the people that are inputting this data, who are having to update this data on a monthly basis. Do they need more resources to expand their staff to be able to do this job the right way? I don't think so, Richard. I think they just need to buckle down and do this. I mean, the spotlight's now on the Department of Human Services. They're very capable people of doing that. And so, let's get down to brass tacks and do your job. Anything else that stood out for you in the aftermath of the session that creates a priority list for 2027? Obviously, the special session coming up in less than 3 weeks. We're going to be focused on the redistricting conversation. What about moving forward? My focus is going to be on infant mortality. That's, we've led the country in that category since you and I have been alive. Yeah. And so that's going to be a real focus for me in public health going forward. And that, you and I have had talks before about different ways we can do that and what that looks like. And that's a priority for the Department of Health as well. I mean, they've declared a state of emergency in infant mortality in the state of Mississippi. And this is 2026.
let's provide the safest and best way for women to have children and families to have babies.
Sam Creekmore, thank you so much for your time. Always a pleasure to catch up and to visit with you. We'll, I'm sure, talk again soon. Wish you all the best.
Richard, I miss the days when we talk sports.
There are plenty of storylines there that we could get to as well, as we got just a couple of weeks left in the baseball season, which I know is a passion of yours. Thanks so much for your time.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Mornings with Richard Cross, presented by Community Bank. We're back with you right after this.
From the Venable Glass.
Check this out.
Now what can be offered you?
Mornings with Richard Cross.
Information.
Super Talk, Mississippi.
Thanks to Sam Creekmore for his time this morning. Always enjoy visiting with the chairman of Public Health and Human Services in the House of Representatives. This is Mornings with Richard Cross, presented by Community Bank. Love to get your feedback, your thoughts, the things that are on your mind. Best way for you to jump into the conversation is on the C Spire text line at 601-879-4395. With C Spire, it's easier than ever to get all the devices you want at a price that you can afford. Right now, new and current customers can get a free phone, a free watch, and a free tablet, plus 100 gigs of data for just $90 a month. That includes the new iPhone 17 and Samsung Galaxy S26 for free, with the smartwatch and the tablet to go with it. So don't wait. There's more to see. Visit cspire.com or stop by your local C Spire store today. C Spire, customer inspired. I was sad to see this morning. The longtime voice of the New York Yankees, John Sterling, has passed away. He had a larger-than-life and unique style in calling games, with a signature call after every single Yankees victory.
Now here's Weaver's 2-2. Hit on the ground to first. Cabrera goes to the bag in time. Ball game over. Yankees win. The Yankees win.
Like a little kid in a candy store at the end of the ball game. Yankees win. Yankees win. John Sterling passed away at the age of 88 and had some health issues in recent years. He was an Iron Man, Lance. There was a stretch of 20 years, 25 years where he did not miss a single Yankees game. Regular season, postseason, just game after game after 162 of them. And a lot of the contracts that exist for announcers now, they'll call 140 of the television games or 150 radio games. They'll have a little bit of time off mixed in there, and they'll bring in a backup or, an alternate announcer. He just didn't do that. His style was incredibly unique. He had nicknames for guys when they hit home runs. Some of them were quite silly, but it was uniquely John Sterling.
20-year run, no days off in there. I want to know what the training regimen is for those guys that do professional broadcasting for Major League Baseball. It's got to be, I know it's not playing the game, but man, that seems like a long season.
It may have been a lot longer than that. He called 5,060 consecutive regular season games.
Man, it's got to be a record.
8 World Series, 5 championships for the Yankees, 96, 98, 99, 2000, 2009, 12 times a winner of a Sports Emmy Award. Served as the radio broadcaster for the Yankees from 1989 until 2024. If I remember correctly, he started with the Atlanta Braves and worked in the Atlanta area before moving to New York and into that market. Quite the career. Quite a career for John Sterling. See, he also served as a radio voice with the New York Raiders, the New York Stars, the New York Islanders, the New York Nets when they were in the ABA, and then in the NBA. So it was quite a career. See, 9 years in Atlanta, hosting a sports call-in show and covering the Braves and the Hawks for Turner Sports. So that was before. Rudy Giuliani is in the hospital and is said to be in critical condition in Florida as well. He hosted his, I can't remember the exact name of it, Mr. Mayor podcast on Friday night. Was said to have had a more raspy voice than normal. He recognized that, was admitted to the hospital over the weekend and is in critical condition. Let's see if there's an update on that report. His spokesman said Mayor Giuliani is a fighter who has faced every challenge in his life with unwavering strength, and he's fighting with that same level of strength as we speak. He remains in critical but stable condition. You certainly remember, served as mayor of New York City, and was in that position when the city was attacked on 9/11. Took the title of America's Mayor during that time as well. A lot of mixed feelings about Rudy Giuliani, largely because of his relationship, mercurial at times, with the president, Donald Trump, but did a lot of good in his time in New York City. New York City was a better place post Rudy Giuliani than it was for in the days since. I don't think there's any debate. Well, some might debate that, but for my money, that would be the case. 8 o'clock hour is on the way. We'll get to a little bit of a weekend roundup, some of the stories that maybe you missed, and JT Mitchell will join us about half an hour from right now as well with the news headlines that you need to be locked in on this week. Mornings with Richard Cross, 8 o'clock hour coming up right after the news.
Mornings with Richard Cross.
The monitor switch lets you hear breaking news.
Super Talk, Mississippi.
Leaving home out on the road, I've been down before. Riding along on this big old jet plane, I've been.
Thanks for joining us. Mornings with Richard Cross, 8 o'clock hour, brought to you by Community Bank. Community Bank, rooted in our community, online at communitybank.net. At Community Bank, we're here for every part of your financial journey, looking to manage your personal finances. Our banking services make it simple, secure, and tailored to you. Ready to grow your business? We offer expert guidance and custom solutions to help your business thrive. Dreaming of a new home? Our mortgage specialists are here to make the process seamless, all designed with you in mind. We're more than just a bank. We're your partner for life's biggest moments. Community Bank, rooted in our community, member FDIC, equal housing lender. I want to let you know that there's something coming up on Thursday that you may want to take part in. Super Talk Mississippi hitting the road. Join us live on Thursday from Pearl River Resort in Philadelphia from 10 a.m. until 6 p.m. It's a full day of coverage as we highlight the incredible partnership between Mississippi Farm Bureau and the Mississippi Food Network through their Farmers Feeding the Hungry initiative. Middays with Gerard will be there from 10 until 1. Sports Talk Mississippi from 3 until 6. It's going to be a day of inspiration, information, and celebration with the home team at Mississippi Farm Bureau. A couple of messages from you on the C Spire text line. 601-879-4395. If Republicans removed Benny Thompson's district after primaries have already occurred, you would see all future legislative goals and processes grind to a halt. You'd be surprised just how much the Democrats would be able to slow and stop the process on all bills going forward in perpetuity starting in 2027. You mean more so than right now? I mean, they grounded to a halt the funding of the Department of Homeland Security for 2.5 months. So maybe they would be more effective in grinding to, and I suppose my question for you is, do you mean with the courts? Because that, by the way, is going to be it's going to be the storyline that goes along with these redistricting battles. SCOTUS hands down its ruling. The states interpret that they can then redistrict, getting rid of districts that are gerrymandered or laid out based on racial makeup. And then the battle in the lower courts will begin, and we'll see a lot of courses that get appealed up to the Supreme Court as a result. We got one message that says, I really see no reason to rush into redistricting our U.S. congressional districts in Mississippi. The election process for this election has already begun. We will need to wait until the next congressional elections to ever utilize a new district map. I think, as we sit here today, May 4th, 2026, and there's a lot that can happen with this story and what this looks like. But I think as we sit here today, that is the most likely outcome. You had primaries in March. I mean, Benny Thompson won the Democrat primary in a landslide of epic proportions. Lance, I'm doing this off the top of my head. 92% of the vote went to Benny Thompson. Does that sound right?
I think so. Let me look, though. I saw it just the other day and don't have it recalled in the brain.
I mean, the number was huge. And so there's question about what the process would be. Would you have to invalidate the primary election results from March and then get the new district lines in place and then have an expedited second primary that leads you to November? While, yes, that would affect Benny Thompson, that would also affect Trent Kelly and Michael Guest and Mike Ezell, three Republican congressmen who won their primaries handily and comfortably. It's a deal where it feels like time is not on your side. Now, you got to go back to the late 80s when Mike Espy was elected as congressman out of District 2. Benny Thompson went into office in 1993, and he's held that District 2 congressional seat ever since. So he's in his 33rd year in Congress. Prior to that, there had not been a Black Democrat or a Democrat since the 1800s to serve in the Mississippi delegation. There are a couple of things to remember in all of this. Some say that, hey, the 3-1 Republican-Democrat representation for Mississippi in Congress is probably how it should be. 38% of the population of the state of Mississippi is black. And so having black representation from the Mississippi delegation is proper and is probably how it should be. The issue is district lines and how you get to that outcome. If you look at the map of the 2nd Congressional District in Mississippi, it is abundantly clear. Like that, there's not even a debate. It's just truth. This is a map. It is a district that it was drawn to give a majority minority voting population within the lines of that district. And it takes in much of the Delta, and then it kind of dips over into Hinds County and pulls a large part of the Hinds County voting block, and then kind of works its way back to the west. And I mean, it is absolutely a line that is drawn for the purpose of creating a majority-minority district, which is kind of the definition of gerrymandering. Democrats do not have the market cornered on gerrymandering. Republicans do not have the market cornered on gerrymandering. Both sides do it. Both sides want districts that are favorable to the potential outcome. And so what we've got to explore in the days and the weeks and the months moving forward is, and you might be saying, Richard, if you want fair, go to the county festival with Ferris wheels and blue ribbons for pigs. That's the fair. But if you actually ask the question, and I mean, I would put this out for Democrats who go, Republicans are ready to gerrymander their way out of Benny Thompson. Fair. That's a reasonable point. Because they are. Republicans and I think Mississippians that don't vote for him think that Benny Thompson is a disaster. And the disaster that is Benny Thompson was exacerbated by his role on the January 6th committee. But if your goal was fairness, how do we draw district lines in Mississippi that just make sense? That break the population of the state of 2.8 million into 4 roughly 700,000 person voting districts. That gets a little complicated when you go population versus voting age population or voting eligible population. That's a little bit different. But just for the sake of simplicity, what if we said, what is the best way, what is the fairest way to divide the state into 4 equal-sized districts based on population distribution? It's not just drawing a vertical axis and a horizontal axis and saying, hey, we got 4 corners of the state. It's not necessarily just drawing 4 horizontal or 3 horizontal lines to create 4 districts across the state. That's not necessarily the answer. So what is the fairest way? We've seen some people put maps out that would be Republican-friendly. There are ways that you can draw the map that would be friendly to a Democrat. We'll get to more of your messages coming up. C Spire text line 601-879-4395. That previously promised weekend roundup on the way as well. We're back with you right after this. Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk, Mississippi.
From the Venable Glass Trap.
RC. Mornings with Richard Cross.
Yeah. Let's get on with the show.
Check it out. SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Richard on the radio, praying for another black domino. Oh, Lord, you gotta help me through these low down magnolia blues.
Good to be with you. Some of your messages on the C Spire text line, 601-879-4395. Brandon in Cleveland says, Benny Thompson is terrible. I live in his district. Message here, it says, whites don't believe they need a white person representing them. Why do blacks need a black person representing them? That is racist thinking. I only want a conservative representing me. I don't care if it's Byron Donalds or Michael Guest. Thomas in Greenwood says, nay, comrade, my side is morally superior to the other side. Don't burst my bubble. Mose says, Richard, they could redraw the districts now, but not have it take effect until the next election cycle. John and Pontotoc with the Democrats threatening impeachment. We need the lines drawn this year. His secondary point, John's second point, is actually one that is interesting to think about. I'm not sure if it can exist in actuality. So we're in a spot right now. His point is, he says, with lines more even, we get more moderate candidates. You have this syndrome that exists, especially in Republican politics right now, of candidates trying to out-MAGA the other, out-Trump the other. And if you have congressional district lines, as they exist right now, districts 1, 3, and 4 are heavy Republican districts. They tend to average somewhere between plus 14 and plus 21 in terms of Republican voters versus Democrat voters in those three districts, 1, 3, and 4. I guess the last Democrat that we had in District 1 was Travis
Childers.
Travis Childers. Trent Kelly's been in that spot since then.
And to go back to your earlier question where I was not prepared, 86.2%, Thompson won in the primary, and that was 62-38 against Eller in the general.
Okay. Well, it's not that you weren't prepared. I just threw that at you and just couldn't remember. So for some reason, I was trying to give him 92% of the primary vote. So it was 86%. That's a massive vote percentage, though, regardless. So back to the point that John was making just a second ago is if your average majority in these districts is not 14 to 21, if it's 4 to 8 percentage points, I mean, if you draw 52-48 districts, if you draw 53-47, 54-46 districts, all of a sudden it gets a whole lot closer. There's an argument to be made that it would bring in more accountability for your represented candidates. Well, I guess I should say for your actual representatives. Because if it's not just a slam dunk that they are going to be reelected simply because they are currently in office, and the only way you get somebody new is if somebody retires or decides to make a move from Congress to the Senate, maybe there's more accountability there. I think that could be viewed as a positive. But to John's point is, if the districts are more balanced, they're not as lopsided toward Republicans as they are in 1, 3, and 4, and they're not as lopsided as it is for Democrats in District 2, might you get more moderate candidates that are not so far to the right or so far to the left? And I'm not really suggesting that Trent Kelly and Michael Guest and Mike Ezell are way, way, way to the right. I mean, they're all three conservative. They're all three Republicans. I think based on his statements, it's pretty safe to say that Benny Thompson is pretty far to the left. But if you have a district where the electorate is somewhat evenly divided, does that create a situation where you need candidates that are a little more kind of down the middle? Derek in Greenwood says, if Benny isn't on the ballot, those who elect him are not going to vote. I don't know that I agree with that. You might be right. You might be. But that's a pretty negative way of looking at the entire 2nd Congressional District voting block, to say that they just won't show up if Benny's not there. And who's to say that Benny wouldn't still be a candidate in whatever that 2nd district looks like, or whatever the number that coincides with it is going forward? When one political side always does race and the other side doesn't do anything about it, politics will always be about power, not people. That is from JW in Sunrise. Thank you for the message. How many points did the 3 other Republican districts win by? I don't have the exact for each of those elections, but plus 14 to plus 21 was kind of the average. Thomas in Greenwood says, as a constituent of Old Benny, I'll gladly suffer the consequences of a 3-1 congressional representation for Mississippi rather than risk 2-2. And that's kind of the question that I've been asking and the point that I've been raising since this first began. If Mississippi goes through a redistricting fight, say new lines are drawn, court cases are filed to oppose the new lines, ultimately those new district lines are upheld in court. Let's just say that is the case. What have you created? You currently have a solid 3-1, 75% of your congressional delegation is Republican. You have created the opportunity for 100% of your delegation to be from the Republican Party. You absolutely have created the possibility of 4-0. As it stands right now, barring something crazy happening, 3-1 is the outcome. You know it before primary candidates are announced. You know it before the general election finalists are in place. You just know it. Based on the way the districts are drawn, 3-1 is the outcome in Mississippi every 2 years. And the 2 Senate seats will stay Republican for a really, really long time. Ever and never are a long time, so let's just go a really, really long time. But if you redraw the district lines, to Thomas's point, if the districts are drawn more evenly, if you do not create a majority-minority district, and you're more in the 50-50 range, it's not going to be 50-50 because you have a majority population in Mississippi that's white, but let's say it's 55-45, or as we were talking about a second ago, maybe it's a 52-48 district. You open up the possibility that 3-1 is no longer the answer. While, yes, 4-0 is on the table, so is 2-2. I guess you could go crazy and say so is 1-3 in terms of Republicans, Democrats. That seems unlikely, but it becomes far more of a real possibility that Republicans could lose a seat. If you get those more competitive congressional districts than we have right now, you bring competitive races in. And then your elections are about voter turnout. Who gets their voters to the polls? Maybe that goes back to the point of people in District 2 aren't going to vote if Benny's not on the ticket. Maybe that's the case. Maybe it's not. But if you're a Republican or a Democrat and you take for granted the outcome of an election and don't, well, we had some people show up, you better get people to the polls if you want to win those seats. C-Spire text line, redrawing lines would be bad if we were losing a good congressman. Benny has done nothing for the Delta. Benny and his most ardent supporters would argue against that. They are the only ones. JT Mitchell from the SuperTalk Mississippi News Team joins us next.
Shaping Mississippi politics each morning. Mornings with Richard Cross. SuperTalk Mississippi.
Pleasure to be spending part of this Monday morning with you on Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk Mississippi. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for making us part of your routine. The show is presented by Community Bank, online at communitybank.net. Community Bank, rooted in our community. It is also a pleasure, as it is every Monday morning, to welcome in JT Mitchell, our news director with the Super Talk Mississippi News Team. Hello, my friend.
May the 4th be with you, Richard.
Oh, you're that guy.
Thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Lance, can we get him out of here?
He just read the Harrison Ford tweet, I think.
You know, we got plenty of stuff to get to without punny Star Wars guy coming in.
Opposed to popular belief, I'm not a big Star Wars guy. I've seen Star Wars, but
and yet that's the joke that you led with this morning.
On board. Well, my sister got married on May the 4th, and so during the toast and whatnot, I had to do the joke. She hates Star Wars. I had to do the joke. Oh, come on, Richard. It's a beautiful Monday morning to goof off a little bit.
Yeah, but you're just not very funny.
Hey. I'll tell you one quick story because I know the listeners, they want to break from the news. So my father, he had a crush on this girl growing up. He grew up in the Mississippi Delta.
Her name was Princess Leia. Where does it go from there? Go ahead.
And
sorry.
He finally got the nerves one time to ask her out.
Mm-hmm.
She said no. Okay. What do you do now? And so he let it sit. He, kind of started a friendship and then asked her out one more time. She said yes.
Okay.
And so he took her to the movies, and I don't know which Star Wars it was, but it was a brand new Star Wars. Now, if you knew my dad, not much of a Star Wars guy. They get in there, the lights dim, they start watching it. He falls asleep. And then he wakes up with the movie ending and the girl of his dreams gone. Nowhere to be found. Gone out of the movie theater. Do you think he got a second date?
Dun, 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 dun.
No, he did not. Okay. So, May the 4th be with you. It's a historically, I guess, okay day for the Mitchell family.
An interesting thing is about to happen, JT. We saw in October and November and December all of the rhetoric, all of the conversation about school choice. We became largely, and this is an unfair characterization, but I'm going to make it anyway, we became largely a one-issue state for a couple of months and in the first couple of weeks of the session. And then we got past that, and the rest of the state's business went on during the 2026 session. It feels to me like we now have a story that is about to make us and a lot of other states a one-issue state for the foreseeable future. And that's this battle over districting lines. The 20th of this month is when the legislature will reconvene in that special session called by Governor Tate Reeves to redraw Supreme Court district lines in the state. But the questions, and to me, what's going to dominate the conversation is, yeah, but what else? Are you going to do congressional districts, and are you going to undo the work of the state Supreme Court or the work of a judge from a couple of years ago with the redrawing of the district lines that led to the Mississippi Senate Republicans losing their supermajority? What is your sense? As you're talking to people and starting to kind of dig into this issue, do you get a sense on what the governor might be thinking and whether or not that's the only route?
I don't know what the governor is thinking. I'll say that. I have spoken to a lot of people who are plugged in, and a lot of people want, especially on the Republican side, Richard, you know this, they would like to draw out Congressman Thompson. But then the people that are a little bit more plugged in, yeah, they may like that, but they also think that if you do that, you have to do it extremely carefully. And you had Creekmore come on, Representative Creekmore, say that he doesn't think they're going to do the congressional lines this time around.
During this special session.
Session. But you circle back to next January, we may be having a different conversation. But Mississippi has I would say, a high number of Democrats who do not vote. And I'm not going to assume based on race that everybody votes a certain way. But if you start tinkering with these congressional lines, and if people start showing up to the ballot box, I think you could find yourself in a situation where you open Pandora's box to maybe a 2-2 situation, 2 Republican, 2 Democratic seats. This is what some people have said to me. They have voiced those concerns. Because Congressman Thompson's current district is drawn to bring in most Democrats, right?
Hey, there is no debate that the 2nd Congressional District was drawn to be a majority-minority district. It's gerrymandering, but it's gerrymandering at the behest of the courts.
Exactly, it is. But then if you break it up, where are you sending those votes? Right?
Sure. Well, and that's the thing. So right now, the color map in Mississippi is red and blue. It is 3 red districts and a blue district. We hear about purple districts all the time. Those are those kind of swing districts when you look at congressional. Odds are if you redraw the districts, you would have 2 red districts and 2 purple districts.
And that is a worry of people I've spoken to specifically on the Republican side.
Yeah.
Now, you may have Democrats out there who want that, sure. But Republicans are saying, at least the ones that I've spoken to, yeah, sure, we'd like for it to be redrawn and you find a way to have 4 red. But if you look at it long term, is that best? That you get 4 red maybe immediately, but then those 2 purplish ones you're referring to, Richard, turn blue? In the off chance that happens? Or do you keep it the same, where you're in a pretty good situation if you're a Republican in the state? I mean, really.
JT, and I talked about this a little while ago, for the foreseeable future, there is no reason to believe that the outcome in Mississippi is going to be anything other than what it has been since Travis Childers was in office, where you have solidly 3 Republican representatives and 1 Democrat representative. That's just what it's going to be for the next decade, at least, if not longer.
But here's the catch, is you best believe that somebody in the White House is pushing the state of Mississippi to redraw.
In the same way that they have pushed Alabama and Kay Ivey has called a special session, in the same way that they are pushing Tennessee.
Yep.
In the same way they are pushing Georgia, though Brian Kemp has said the law in Georgia will not allow me to do this. It's something that we have to do before 2028, but we've started voting. That's the other piece of this that's really interesting and is complicating. We've already had primaries for this year. Yeah. Are you going to invalidate the results of those and start over? That seems like that would be, not only would it be difficult, I think it might be wrong.
Yes, and there's already so much confusion nationwide surrounding voting for whatever reason, even though you and I make it clear to everyone out there listening when and where to vote. But there is a built-in confusion to voting. You look at a place like Louisiana where they just canceled the House primaries, but the Senate primaries are still happening. Does that muddle the waters a little bit?
It absolutely does. But when Senate, you're talking about statewide elections versus districted elections, and they had not had their primaries yet. Was it May 16th or May 19th?
May 16th, I believe.
Was primary day in Louisiana, and they've just put that on hold until these new lines are redrawn.
So that's confusing.
Which makes more sense to me, given that it was Louisiana that was fighting this battle for redistricting in the first place.
That's true. Very
true.
It
makes sense to me that they would say, we won, time out, we're going to fix based on what we just won.
And that is a valid point. But bringing this thing full circle, if you think the White House is talking to Tennessee, if you think the White House is talking to Louisiana and Georgia, Alabama, but just skipping over Mississippi, you are out of your mind. And if they're talking to the governor's office, I will predict the governor will ask for congressional districts to be redrawn.
You said you've talked to people, and I have as well. If you think this is just a slam dunk for Republicans, you are sorely misguided. Yep. It's not to say that it cannot get to a place where it ends up in Republicans with 4-0 in Mississippi, and we look back and we laugh at this conversation somewhere along the way. But people who have studied this issue have told me it is very much threading a needle to get it to a spot where you get to 4 districts that courts uphold and give you 4 Republican congressmen.
So it sounds like you and I have talked to a lot of people who are saying similar stuff.
I think so. But that may not be what the majority of people in Mississippi want, and how will those voices be heard? We do have some other news headlines to talk about with you. We'll do that coming up next. It is Mornings with Richard Cross. Just a few minutes left on this Monday, the 4th of May.
From the Venable Glass Trap
is Mornings with Richard Cross.
Let's do it.
Super Talk, Mississippi.
I'll read one message for you from the C Spire text line, 601-879-4395, 601-879-4395. Derek says, I just hate how everyone is just like, screw the Delta to keep 3. The sacrificial lamb, just stay in poverty and don't push for change or move out of the area and let it completely die. No, that's not my argument, and that's not my opinion, Derek, at all. What I'm trying to do, and I hope you see the message I sent you, is to illustrate that what has been portrayed by many as a slam dunk, an easy layup, a snowbird, if you want to use a basketball term, where you're just running out away from the defense and lay it in uncontested, that scenario doesn't exist. And I don't care how many national, online, influencer, Republican-type people tell you, oh, it's Mississippi's turn, now Mississippi gets to... It's not as easy as it is being made out to be. I'm going to tell you one other thing. Boy, this, JT, is a conversation for another day altogether. I've had my friend Joe Stradinger on a number of times from Edge Theory. He works in the narrative intelligence space. And you know who is going to be pouring information into the Mississippi headspace through online activities over the next year until this issue is resolved is? You know where a lot of the messaging is going to be coming from? The CCP. There is a ton of information designed to divide that will be coming from China to support division in southern United States as we walk through this battle. We'll talk about that more on another day. All right, JT, I'm not going to ask you to weigh in necessarily on the Chinese piece of this, but it's there. I promise you it's there.
Yeah,
Jackson.
Sorry, but regarding Derek's text, I mean, that's a valid argument if you're on that side of the spectrum. I think you have a good number of people who live in the Delta who say, well, Congressman Thompson sends a bunch of money to us. A bunch of federal dollars get announced every other day. However, it just depends on where you stand. We can move on.
Yeah. Jackson Water Authority. Whew. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much said it all. That's exactly right. I mean, I'm starting to get whiplash a little bit from this whole deal, but Jackson's Water has been a point of conversation, a point of contention now for 4+ years, not to mention the decades of neglect beforehand. Governor Tate Reeves had to call a state of emergency over Jackson's Water late August 2022. A lot of us here lived through that water crisis. That state of emergency eventually spurred federal oversight. If you want to say a federal takeover, sure. So, U.S. District Judge Henry Wingate, he made all the moves, and he got a third-party interim manager, Ted Hennepin, in. He's been in for 4 years, and Jackson's Water has gotten better. We have some independent testing that was done by the Clarion Ledger. You can find it at supertalk.fm that shows that Jackson's Water is very drinkable now, for the most part. It is very potable. It is very safe, for the most part. But lawmakers are looking toward the future. What happens when this federal oversight ends? And so they created a board, a 9-member board with representation from the state, the governor and lieutenant governor from the city of Jackson, appointments by Mayor John Horn from the mayors of Ridgeland and Byram as well, to kind of be there to take over the oversight aspect of when the feds step away. Now, the city of Jackson says, we don't like this. We don't like how we own all of the responsibility. We own the infrastructure. Yet we don't have a majority voice. We are tied to the debt, yet we don't have a majority voice. And so they asked a judge to step in. It is Judge Wingate, who's kind of, his name ID has gotten a lot stronger because of the Jackson Water situation. And so he issued a temporary injunction, and now we wait, I believe, until May 9th to see which way he's going to go, on if the state is going to get their way, or if everybody's going to have to go back to the drawing board, or if maybe the city of Jackson will get that majority voice they desperately want.
Yeah. So it was broken when Jackson was in charge. The feds have run it for the last 4 years. It's better than it was. Jackson is fighting for the ability to be in charge again?
Correct. And I think part of the reason why is because you have a mayor in office in Jackson, Mississippi, who both Democrats and Republicans like. They're saying we can be trusted. I think what the state is going to argue, though, is what happens if somebody comes back in after you, Mayor Horn, and doesn't know how to run stuff.
Yep. Thanks for being with us. Mornings with Richard Cross, Super Talk, Mississippi. JT, always appreciate your time. I'm going to pin this message from this person that says we're racist. We'll come back to that tomorrow. Glad to be with you. Mornings. Thanks, Lance. Thanks, JT. Mornings presented by Community Bank.
A SuperTalk Mississippi media production.